Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back for the final session, closing with the Office of Housing Counseling Leadership. I'm Shauna LaRue-Marai, and I'm pleased to be back with you all to close with the leadership, including the housing counseling directors. So if you have any technical issues, please chat with us. And if you have any questions that you have that's content related, please use the Q&A box. All should be at the bottom of your screen as you're seeing it. And I'm so pleased to be with so many folks that lead this Office of Housing Counseling that you've heard from throughout this entire week. So we're going to have Terry Carr in a few minutes. She's the acting Associate Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Housing Counseling. And then, of course, David Berenbaum, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the office. And then the directors are going to join us, and we're going to have a fun, interactive session with them. Gerald Mayer, who's the Director of the Office of Outreach and Capacity Building. Keisha Wright, who's the Director of the Office of Oversight and Accountability. Brian Siebenlist, who's the Director of the Office of Program and Grant Administration. All wonderful leaders within this office. So now I'm going to turn over to Terry Carr, the Acting Associate Deputy Assistant Secretary. Terry?
Thank you, Shauna. Thanks, Shauna. So I'm really glad to be with you today. Great. Camera's finally on. It's been a really wonderful conference. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about why I think we have a conference like this and some of the great things that we learned over the last 3 days, and kind of sum that up in big priorities for the Office of Housing Counseling. You know, I noticed at the very beginning of the conference, David announced that we just released our first update to our handbook since 2009, and we are super excited to have that out and to be able to give you all a much better idea of how to comply with our policies and procedures. We talked about national industry standards and some of the ways that we are going to open that conversation, and I've already gotten lots of good ideas and suggestions from you, and we look forward to more of those. We discussed ways about how you can grow your agency, and then we talked about the industry, right? What's happening in our industry, affordability, housing supply, what's happening in the marketplace. And I think, you know, the main thing about this is we have these conversations because it's how we gain the information that helps us help our clients. So, you know, with respect to supply, we know that it's a big problem right now. And our Assistant Secretary is very clear about the fact that we're probably not going to solve it anytime soon. We can help with ADUs and manufactured housing, but we're a long way from creating all the housing that's actually needed. We noted from the data from one of our sessions that we have a big jump in household formation in Hispanic households. That's very exciting. We heard about the most recent steps that FHA has taken to reduce the cost of home ownership. Really, again and again, we came back to themes around equity, around affordability, the major challenges that those who are looking to purchase a home or who are looking to rent a home affordably have these days. And so I think for us, the conference really helps us further our knowledge on how to assist consumers with their wealth building tools. We all came to the conference with a unified purpose, and that was to help consumers make home the goal. And that just happens to be the latest of a marketing campaign, which I hope you've heard about, that the Office of Housing Counseling launched earlier this year. Let's make home the goal. We launched the campaign in June, and the campaign is really focused on making consumers more aware of the importance of having a housing counselor as part of their team. So at some point in the near future, we hope that when someone begins to think about buying a home, they will think about the fact that they need a lender, a realtor, and that they also need a counselor. They need an unbiased person who can help them navigate through the process. And we took the first steps towards making that a reality with our Let's Make Home the Goal campaign. It's also designed directly to address the homeownership gap. You are certainly aware that there's a gap in homeownership between white people in this country and other minority groups, and that homeownership plays a really important role in building intergenerational wealth. So we want to make sure that everyone is aware that there are resources available that can help them navigate that path, that you as counselors can help chart that step-by-step path to homeownership, that they don't have to go it alone. And we know that that's a concern because we did a lot of research for this campaign, and that research showed us that people are looking for a partner. They're looking for someone to help them with the process. So the campaign positions you as that someone. We've been pretty successful. We launched it and we've gotten 25 million impressions and touched millions of people. In fact, over 5 million people have been made more aware of housing counseling. Impressions is kind of media speak for those 5 million people probably saw an ad about housing counseling about 5 or 6 times, and it takes about 5 to 7 times for them to take an action. And as a result of seeing that ad, we saw about 35,000 people go to our website and look for a housing counselor. And we've just begun. We will keep doing this. We'll do the same thing next year. And over time, we really will be able to make a difference in the way people view and the value that they attribute to a certified housing counselor. There are a couple really interesting bright spots in this campaign. One is that we launched a public service announcement where the Secretary of HUD, Marcia Fudge, talked about homeownership. She talked about housing counselors, and she talked about the role homeownership can play in intergenerational wealth building. And that public service announcement we put on YouTube, 3.7 million impressions, and 800,000 people looked at it. And we just think those numbers are really a testament to how important it is for us to make information about homeownership available. People are clearly interested and they want to know. And so we think that there's a real opportunity for the Office of Housing Counseling, for housing counseling agencies, and for housing counselors to make clear how important our services are. So that's what we did in just 3 short months, and we have a lot more time to go. And so as we close this conference, I just want you guys to think about the importance of what you do, and more importantly, how we can let literally everyone know, because no one should have to take the journey alone. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to David, but just want to remind you that we want to keep making home the goal. So let's make home the goal. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Terry. And I hope that the Make Home the Goal campaign is resonating with all of you. And again, as we move forward, our hope is to continue to socialize the campaign, place ads in more communities, as well as work with all of our partners, whether they be housing counseling organizations, or as you heard earlier in the fee-for-service session, if you attended, with even our lending and mortgage origination and other partners, Fannie and Freddie, FHFA, to really spread the good word about the role of housing counseling. I know as well that many of you have adopted the new Office of Housing Counseling Agency. I'll describe it as a logo on your websites and business cards. If you haven't, I invite you to do so. And as well, for all of our HUD certified housing counselors who are viewing today, please, if you haven't already, downloaded the new Zoom and Teams wallpaper for you, celebrating that you're a HUD certified counselor. Again, it's available in urban, suburban, and rural designs. You can use all of them. Please do so. So now it's really my honor and pleasure to introduce some of the key staff. You heard from Shauna earlier, the leaders in our office. I'd like to invite Brian Siebenlist, who once again is the director of our Office of Policy and Grant Administration, Keisha Wright, the director of our Office of Oversight and Accountability, and Jerry Mayer, the director of our Office of Outreach and Capacity Building, to join me on camera. Welcome, everyone. Have you been enjoying the conference?
Absolutely. It's been a great show.
Yes, indeed.
Very good. And we're just waiting on Brian. There you are. How you doing, Brian?
Good. Thank you, David.
Great. So we're going to have some fun this afternoon. How many of you remember the game Spin the Wheel? Well, we're going to play spin the wheel with our directors today using the Mentimeter approach to spin the wheel. It could be, in fact, maybe it's the housing counseling wheel. We'll have to see how it goes. So let's bring that wheel up right now. We'll talk more about that tool in a moment. All right, so here it is, spin the wheel with the Office of Housing Counseling Leadership. Now, our categories today, ladies and gentlemen, are one, audience choice, where you will get to select a category through feedback that you provide in chat. The other subjects include counselor certification, handbook and rulemaking, that's upside down on the wheel right now, and David's choice. Where I was teasing my team earlier, remember the game show The Joker's Wild? Watch out, folks. I may have some fun with the directors who are on now. All right, so let's go ahead, press enter, and spin the wheel, please. Oh, no, I promise this is not a setup. So David's choice is the very first category. And you know what? I think I'm going to go to Jerry Mayer. Jerry, I was so impressed with our session on industry best practices. Could you build that out a little bit for us?
Oh, absolutely, David. Modernizing the national industry standards is a big priority for both HUD and the industry. And what we're seeking is an industry-forward, HUD-supporting approach that'll benefit consumers with a modernized set of standards that are responsive to current and future housing markets. And we're really looking forward to engaging with the entire housing counseling, lending, and real estate community on a modernized set of industry standards. Some things to look forward to. ICF, who is helping us with this conference and is HUD's Community Compass grantee, is going to support a convening and scheduling and modernization effort to build and support new standards. They've already launched a new standards update process webpage on the HUD Exchange, which is in the comment box now. And you could go there to learn how to participate in the modernization process. Some other things that you could look forward to is this fall and winter, you'll be able to join stakeholder meetings and will gather your opinions and your priorities and ideas for modernized standards. And then in 2024, you can look out for an opportunity to join a new standards committee. And you'll have the ability to review data and draft new standards and help publish the modernized standards. And we really do encourage you to participate and take advantage of this opportunity and help us build a set of housing counseling standards that are modernized and will take us into the future.
Yeah, Jerry, even today in the discussions on CMS systems and fee-for-service and other areas, there's so much opportunity to really update the standards for today's practice. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think it is central to housing counseling. It has been since 2004. And we all know it's almost 20 years since the standards were first promulgated. And there's been so many changes to take into account. And we're really looking forward to including all of the new things that have occurred in housing counseling over the last 20 years.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. All right, let's spin the wheel again. Here we go. And the category is handbook and rulemaking. All right, Brian, you are on the hot seat now. Where would you like to take this?
All right, thank you, David, and hi, everybody. What a great conference. And one highlight for me has been the fact that we've announced this revised housing counseling handbook. And I'm just so happy that we have a new handbook. I've been on so many of these conferences and similar calls where we said, yeah, the handbook's coming, we're working on it. And I finally don't have to say that. We can say that the handbook was actually released and published on September 8th of 2023. So anyway, we're just thrilled to have now, new, clear, concise policy handbook that's going to help, housing counseling agencies and our partners understand and comply with our current policies and procedures. The effective date, if you haven't learned already, is January 1st, 2024. So there's a nice period for transition period for training and learning. So we're excited about that. The new handbook's available on HUD Clips and the HUD Exchange. If you haven't been able to see it yet, please check it out. There are updated FAQs available as well. We also are going to be publishing additional FAQs as we receive questions and respond to those questions. So the learning will continue. In addition to that, what's next? We're going to have a stakeholder training session. It's tentatively scheduled for October 9th, but 19th, I'm sorry, but we'll update the stakeholders with the date once that's finalized to go through and the overview of changes to the handbook. We have we're preparing various tools and resources for stakeholders, including a crosswalk for handbook revisions, a resource library, an official handbook landing page that's going to feature some interactive tools. So all that's going to be integrated in the training webinar. So anyway, that's big news on the handbook front. On the rulemaking front, we're super busy as well. One main focus has been the certification of tribal housing counselors. We had published a proposed rule in January 2023, have engaged in 3 tribal consultations, the last one the end of July. We received substantial feedback during those consultations, and with that feedback, are developing a final rule that's going to provide an alternative regulatory standard for compliance with certification requirements. And that new standard is going to recognize tribal sovereignty and self-determination and account for the unique status of tribal land and housing programs in Indian country. So we're excited and moving on that front. We're also focused on housing counseling modernization through rulemaking, and the current focus is in person and facilities. And we're looking to publish a proposed rule, fingers crossed, hopefully by mid-October. And the idea is to amend HUD's regulations to allow housing counseling agencies to use alternative communication methods, including virtual meeting tools, in lieu of providing in-person services. And participating agencies that choose not to provide in-person services would be required to refer clients to local providers that provide such services when requested. But we're building flexibility in the manner in which housing counseling services are provided, and we're thrilled to be doing that. So we're also looking at our facility requirements and trying to amend the provision to clarify that a participating agency is required to have at least one office. Currently, the requirement is for participating agencies to maintain facilities in every location where their services are provided. Our rulemaking, that proposed rule, we're going to look to eliminate this costly requirement and move to have participating agencies still maintain at least one facility for the purposes of the housing counseling program. But the emphasis will be focused on the agency's demonstration of its knowledge of the community. And that'll be detailed in the work plan, but there'll be rulemaking happening on both those requirements related to in-person counseling and facilities. So we're excited about that. A lot happening. Thank you for the chance to go through that.
Ryan, you just covered a lot of ground very quickly. Thank you. And I just want to just emphasize that I'm very, very pleased with our strong partnership with all the members of the housing counseling community, but also tribal entities and leaders, and also our Office of Native American Programs at HUD in developing the new tribal rule. And I'm looking forward to a rule being issued that is final. And thank you everyone as well for all of your input into developing the modernization standard that will facilitate in-person, telephonic, virtual, or hybrid forms of delivery of services, all to HUD standards moving forward. And we look forward to working with everyone to ensure that the continued access to services celebrated nationwide through culturally sensitive and linguistically appropriate services. So Brian, thank you. All right, let's spin that wheel again. Let's see now. Didn't certification right now. With regard to certification, was that a wild card? Who did we say would be best? Let me think about this for a moment. Jerry, I think you should handle certification.
Oh, thank you, David. And also thank you to all the HUD certified housing counselors and their supporters for joining us this week. And I especially enjoyed the prior session on certified housing counselor reflections. I think when you talk about certification, you really need to talk about the mission of the Office of Housing Counseling, which is to help families obtain, sustain, and retain their homes. And we accomplish our mission through our strong network of HUD participating housing counseling agencies, and especially the 4,170 HUD certified housing counselors that are certified as of this week. And we will continue to certify housing counselors into the future. I think we could look forward to some new things this year. Later in the calendar year, we're going to be publishing a new exam or an updated exam. And that will include the practice exam, the knowledge assessment tool, and study guide. All will be updated in English and Spanish. But if you are currently scheduled to take the exam that's in front of you right now. Don't wait for the new exam. Just go ahead and proceed. You won't have to retest or anything like that. When we update our exam, it's based on counselor feedback and also a lot of the work that our certification contractor, Ajanta, does with their psychometrician to make sure that the questions make sense and are up to date. Generally, what we do is we take out obsolete questions and we add new relevant questions based upon new programs and that feedback, because we want to make sure we don't have any double negative questions or anything like that. And your feedback after you've taken the exam is pretty important to us. So please, if you see a question that you would like to see improved or a different question, now is the time to send us that. We're also working on an exam and the associated materials in additional languages. We're looking at 3 API, Asian and Pacific Islander languages, and we hope to roll these out during fiscal year 24. We're also working with tribal partners through the rulemaking process on a version of the certification exam for housing counseling in connection with HUD programs that serve tribal lands. So extending certification even further is a great goal, and we're really looking forward to that. And then if you're preparing for the exam in terms of training, well, firstly, we have to thank our TNOFO training, NOFO grantees, NeighborWorks, National Community Reinvestment Corp, Rural Community Assistance Corp, Unidos US, Housing Action Illinois, and NACA NSC for their support of housing counseling training. They provide the courses that you can take in addition to what you find on the testing site. They also provide scholarships for qualified applicants, and they organize study groups for housing counselors. So this is a great resource that you should avail yourself of. If you look in the training digest on the HUD Exchange, and that'll be coming up in the comments section, you can see all of the courses that are currently offered or links to their websites to see what their future offerings on their calendars are going to be. We're also going to be working with our Training NOFO partners on an initiative that we started about a year and a half ago to work with HBCUs and other minority or serving institutions to offer workforce development, housing counseling curriculums, and encourage students to consider joining the housing counseling profession as certified counselors. The profession of housing counseling should be inclusive and should reflect the communities that they serve. And we're hoping that this will help us achieve that goal. So to sum up, we're working on a wide range of new initiatives and program improvements and courses and resources for certified housing counselors.
Great. Jerry, thanks so much. And thanks for also sharing that there'll be additional materials with regard to preparing for the exam. That was a question in particular that came up during my corner at the beginning of yesterday's meetings. So terrific information for everyone. All right, let's go back one more time to see if we can spin the wheel. Audience choice. All right, Shauna, please let us know who is getting the question.
Okay, thank you so much, David. And hopefully I'm keeping up with all of the link needs in the chat box. So I'm seeing here that we have a question here about performance reviews and when they might be seeing their HUD point of contact, either virtually or in person.
That's a great question. And Keisha, of course, you are our guru of everything performance review. Please, that's your question.
Sure. Thank you, David. Good afternoon, everyone. I first wanted to also just say that the conference has really been very informative. I think just seeing all the participation in each of the sessions has been amazing. You guys are just truly the professionals out there doing great work in the community. And I just wanted to just applaud you all, you know, in regards to your commitment and interest in helping people achieve their housing goals. So having said that, I get the great opportunity of just, you know, speaking to you from the people point in terms of our staff within OHC. So for example, this year we have been very excited that we were able to start traveling again and visiting our counseling agencies, you know, continuing the conversations and having the face-to-face interactions relating to conducting performance reviews, along with providing the necessary technical assistance with many of our counseling agencies. And that's just one of our many accomplishments within OHC. I personally am looking forward to visiting as many agencies as possible in the future, not only for just conducting our performance reviews, but to further our partnership by increasing our communication with even more on-site visits. It's so important to us that you get to know us personally, where, you know, Brian talked about the different work that we're doing in terms of the handbook and the regulations, and Jerry talked about the certification and what's necessary to achieve that goal. But it's also really important for you to know us on a personal level in regard to the work that we are actually doing on the ground with the agencies. So we want to meet you in person. We want to have a conversation with you about what's important to your specific agency and what can HUD actually do better to continue to be successful. And so it's also really, really important for you guys to know that my colleagues within OHC are committed and trusted public servants. They have amazing skills. They're filled with so much wisdom and have exceptional abilities. They have greatness within each and every one of them. And I want you to just be rest assured that you're getting the very best of HUD within OHC. And I'm very proud to be part of the team.
Wow,
Shauna, did they have anything else specific about performance reviews that I can answer?
I think you were incredibly thorough, Keisha, as always. So thank you.
Okay.
So, Keisha, thank you. And I'd like to ask all the directors to stay on camera, but also invite Terry Carr to rejoin us as well. As I move to what will be closing remarks, I want to express my sincere just appreciation for each of your leadership and also the commitment that you bring to serving our housing counseling agencies, our consumers, and frankly, all of our stakeholders, because truly the success our office has been experiencing over the past months and years is all as a result of your leadership and also your strong engagement with our talented professional staff. I just want to thank all of you. And please stay on camera through my closing remarks. I also want to share with everyone in the housing counseling community who joined us that these are the people to reach out to. If you have questions, if you'd like someone to speak at a conference, if you'd like us to attend a convening of counselors, please reach out to us because we are here to engage, and we're trying to act in a very transparent and very productive way to build the profession of housing counseling, a theme that you've heard throughout this program. So first, let me thank you again for participating in this year's National Community Conference. You know, during my quote corner yesterday, you may remember that I opened with a question: what is your housing counseling why? If we could put that back on the sort of the screen for everyone, that would be wonderful. I want us to take a fresh look at that because, you know, even though it was a Mentimeter tool, it really got to the heart of why we do what we do. Our commitment as professionals, our desire to improve our communities, to work with our neighbors. Feel free, as I'm speaking, to add your thoughts further to this. We're going to reproduce this and share this widely because it really gets to why we do the important work that we do. You know, there is a saying that commitment is the choice that we make every day that leads to the final results we're striving for. Again, commitment is the choice that we make every day that leads to the final results that we're striving for. I want to thank all of you for the choices that you make on behalf of our consumers and clients and to improve our agencies that make a difference in the lives of, frankly, everyone we live near across the country. This year, we're delighted that we had 1,500 of our colleagues together for this informative program, that we had generative discussions both via Zoom as well as with online that really focused in on how counselors can play a critical role in advancing racial equity in housing, expand the affordability of affordable housing, with regard to homeownership, how we can bridge the homeownership gap to help elders age in place, how we can promote financial capability after the pandemic, as well as enhance all of our operational efficiencies. And of course, a true focus on expanding the public and private sector impact of our work. If you missed any of the sessions, of course, I want to share again with you that all of the sessions can be viewed later on the HUD Exchange. And please share them with colleagues who could not attend. Though we had 1,500 people here, there are no doubt 6,000 folks who should be viewing this program. And also, the discussion boards are going to remain open for your use. David's Corner, the Celebrating Certification and Housing Counseling Resource pages will be open, and the whole site for networking purposes will be open until September the 22nd. I invite you to engage fully using this resource, as well as connecting via LinkedIn and other ways. Again, I'm on LinkedIn. If you're not following my posts, I really try to celebrate all the work we're doing and newsworthy issues. Please feel free to join me on LinkedIn. Together, we discuss best practices and models to address a comprehensive range of current priorities, with a focus on leveraging the emerging and prominent role of housing counseling as a profession, with regard to also expanding our impact through continuing education and utilizing program innovation. And of course, as you heard today and in some of the sessions, also how we can apply technology to expand our impact. And moving forward, we look forward to continuing to actively engage with you to realize our vision for the housing counseling industry and to implement new industry best practices to forge a stronger, more prosperous, and more equitable future for all of us. In closing, as we collaborate to ensure that every individual and family has a safe and stable place to call home, we would like to express our appreciation to each of you for your success and impact in ensuring that we are part of the solution. Now, more than ever, HUD certified housing counselors are fulfilling a critical role in helping homeowners and tenants, while acting as trusted advisors as we seek to achieve greater equity in homeownership in every community and with a focus on communities of color. To our agencies, the Office of Housing Counseling is committed to working with you to leverage the full impact of our industry to assist individuals and families to obtain, sustain, and improve their housing. Of course, that is the Office of Housing Counseling mission. Please call upon our team to be of assistance. It is our joy to advance your goals in all of the communities that we serve. I would also like to take a moment to thank the Office of Housing Counseling professional staff once again for all that they do, as well as the ICF team for their work ensuring the success of this wonderful community conference. And as I have noted, the time is now to take our program to scale. Let's elevate the profession together. It's about people and places. Thank you all. And please stay tuned for 3 final polling questions from Shauna to help us begin to plan for next year's conference. Take care all, and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, David, and also for the other directors and leaders within the Office of Housing Counseling. I can say that on behalf of the ICF team, it's been a pleasure working with all of you to build this conference. It's certainly not just an ICF effort. It's a real team effort between our organization and the Office of Housing Counseling. And we are looking for, in this particular question, what training and technical assistance needs do you have for your program? And this is just a simple word cloud. Again, we'll see things get larger and larger as some of the more common topics are listed. So far, we have work plan training. We have CMS, and hopefully the person who wrote the CMS went to the last session that Claire Weatherby did on the ICF team. That should certainly help there, but we can unpack CMSs on another session. Ooh, I'm seeing foreclosure prevention is getting quite large, David.
Yes.
HECM was also keeping us busy in the chat box for this particular session too. So one of the pieces of feedback that I thought was very interesting is, while we have a page on HECM origination and we have it for default HECM, I apologize, they really liked the boxes on the certification page and was thinking that maybe there might be a way to bring additional resources to really map it all out for HECM. So those of you following HECM and those of you leading that particular piece of counseling, that might also resonate with you. Okay, so I am seeing some funding. I know folks were also wanting to know about the timing of the NOFO. I know it's coming out soon, David. That was one of the questions that we got in the opening and the closing. So
we feel very comfortable. We've done everything in our power to move it forward. And again, I'm hoping in the next 4 to 6 weeks, people will see it issued. It is dependent on one more step. And of course, as we've discussed, that the federal government does not have a closure.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And we will all wish that you are not in a shutdown. So thank you. So, okay, well, I think we have a lot of excellent topics here that'll keep us busy as we look forward to additional webinars and also future conferences. And as you said, we'll be doing a lot of these regional housing counseling meetings as well, including Atlanta coming up in November. So let's go ahead and move on to the next. We've got 2 questions here. We really want you to provide your feedback about the conference this week. And then we have an open-ended question. And it's really important that we get your feedback about whether or not you thought it was a great event. We also want you to tell us if there's good content, flow of presentations, but also if you recommend a few changes. Every year is a little bit different. We've been able to incorporate a networking platform that we hadn't used before. We also have done different things with Mentimeter. We've done different formats for the various sessions. We had a lot more videos this time, an interview style, I think, than ever before. However, you go to a lot of conferences and we would love your feedback. So we're going to make sure that we have a good volume here, David. We have, close to 400 people here. So we'd really like to get their feedback in terms of this particular question, and then we'll move it ahead in just a minute or so.
Thank you, everyone. And please also feel free to email us with your thoughts. I know one of the thoughts, and I'll just share it out loud, is a lot of people miss the Hoover board. There are privacy issues that we could not use Hoover this year to HUD federal standards, but we heard you, and we'll continue to work on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, David. And just a couple of shout outs in the Q&A box about folks following you on LinkedIn and providing great content there. So wanted to make sure that you saw that. So let's give it maybe another 30 seconds, Taylor. And we know that your time is valuable, but this is also really helpful feedback for us. All right, let's go ahead and move to the final question. And this is meant to be, like I said, open-ended. And we're going to leave this up. And you can write anything you want about your thoughts about the conference this week. Yes, the results are hidden on purpose. So as much as, I think David's always very honest and transparent about so many different things. But it's on purpose that we want to keep the results hidden. But you can see the number of things coming in. But we also want to make sure that we synthesize and that we look at, and this is what's nice about the Mentimeter database as opposed to this chat box, we can synthesize the results by type of agency and also some of the other feedback that we received across the conference so that we can kind of match up a couple things and really distill the information in a systematic way, no different than the National Industry Standards piece that we did earlier this week. And for those, we also had the results that were hidden in terms of the open-ended feedback. So yeah, thank you for understanding. We really appreciate it. So we're always here to see what else we can do differently. Maybe there's some topics that we should have covered that we didn't. And just anything you want to give us is very helpful. Okay. Well, with that, David, I will hand it over to you, and we will take down the materials and tell everyone that we will see them shortly at a regional meeting, a webinar, or a conference, and really appreciate everyone's time this week. And thank you for being wonderful attendees.
Donna, thank you. And I just want to second that. We look forward to seeing you in Atlanta and at all our regional events, as well as at your events nationwide in our future webinars. Stay safe, stay happy, and thank you for all that you do. Have a great afternoon now.